Welcome to another episode of Tunheim's Being Understood podcast. My name is Ashley Pennegill, and today I'm sitting with David Erickson, who knows all things about email marketing. David is our Senior Director of AI and Emerging Technology and leads our digital marketing practice at Tunheim. Due to the rise of generative AI, email marketing has never been more important. But before we get to that, David, can you share a little bit about your journey? How did you get started in email marketing?
I actually began my career. Email was kind of the trigger that started my career in digital marketing. I had been reading about, this is way before your time, but I had been reading about the internet, the rise of the internet, was fascinated with it. And then in 1994, I read a newspaper piece in the print newspaper about a gubernatorial debate that was being conducted over email. And so it was Arnie Carlson, who became governor, and John Marty was a Democrat, ran against him. And they had a debate, but it was conducted all through email.
Back and forth.
Back and forth. And so I read that, and I'm like, it lit a, I'm like, I was interested in politics at that time, interested in the internet at that time. It's like, I got to find out about this. So it was hosted by an organization, nonprofit called eDemocracy. And I started researching that and found the guy who started it, Stephen Clift, and reached out to him. And he's now a very good friend. But I didn't have email at the time. So he's like, well, first thing you need to do is get email.
Wow.
So I got an email address, and it was through the Pioneer Press at that time had an internet service. So I got my email address via the Pioneer Press, and then got involved in eDemocracy, which was just promoting the internet for democracy. And they hosted a bunch of listservs. So they're basically email communications back and forth. One was an announcement listserv, so just one to many, basically. You subscribed to it and you got what they sent you. And the other was many to many. So you had conversations, basically like an online forum, but via email. So everybody's responses you get in your inbox, you could respond to everybody else via email. And started getting involved in eDemocracy as a volunteer. And then around that time, I was publishing a website on covering Minnesota politics. I started to learn HTML and designed a website and started covering Minnesota politics that way. So I had to build an audience. So then I started using the forum participation to get people to subscribe to my newsletter. So that was list building. Started learning that through that activity. In 1998, I partnered with a friend of mine, Blois Olson, to launch mnpolitics.com. And so I was covering Minnesota politics, and we built a newsletter there. 2004, I think, is when Constant Contact came on the market. So then all of a sudden you had this, rather than doing everything manually, you had this platform that did email marketing for you. So I started using Constant Contact. We created a newsletter that had the daily news roundup for Minnesota politics, and then a weekly version that included our commentary. 2009, I think, MailChimp came around, so switched to MailChimp, had better features and everything. So I learned that. And then we sold the publication to Minnesota Law and Politics. But I mean, email marketing has been part of our practice, digital practice ever since.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to this day, we still have listservs with some of our coalitions, right? And Voices newsletter is super popular still in Minnesota politics. Yeah. So you talked about email newsletters, and we can go a little bit deeper on that. But first, can you explain to me the different types of email marketing?
Sure. So there's promotional email. So everybody's familiar with that. If you shop online, you're probably getting promotional emails. So that's like driving sales. Announcing offers, promoting products or services. That's, you get discounts through whatever retailer you're signing up for. That's an example of promotional emails. Then there's transactional emails. So when you buy something, you're typically getting an email confirming the purchase, getting the receipt. It's basically in response to something that you've done. So Amazon, you get emails all the time from that. Those typically have really high open rates because you need to confirm your purchase, right?
And you have to track it as it slowly makes its way to your house.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So that's another part of it is the tracking. Then we talked about email newsletters, so regular updates. news, like I mentioned with the politics one, curated content, typically weekly digest. Sometimes they're daily. Don't see as many daily anymore. Bi-monthly, rarely monthly. Monthly just doesn't tend to work as much. You don't get top of mind awareness when you're doing it monthly. But that you need to kind of consistently deliver value to the audience. So you really need to know your audience and know what they value. Great for brand identity and brand and top of mind awareness. Life cycle emails. So this is like for B2B companies, and especially where there's a long purchase cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You get them to sign up for a newsletter, for example, and then give them a welcome series. So you get the email that confirms that you subscribe to the newsletter, and then maybe a week later you get another email that introduces you to some aspect of the company. We do this for clients as well. So we have one client that we have a sequence where we're telling it's a nonprofit, we're telling different client stories that illustrate different aspects of the nonprofit through that sequence. So it can work for nonprofits, it can work for B2B. It's kind of an example of marketing automation, where somebody signs up and then it's automatic. Those emails are automatically sent based on different criteria. So it might be a trigger that somebody purchased something. It might be they viewed something on the website, whatever it is, or it just could be time based, like I mentioned with the other one. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just curious. So then, if someone signs up for a general newsletter, they're just going to start getting the content as it's getting pushed out. But if it's an actual lifecycle email drip campaign, it's specialized to them based on their actions or based on how you've set up the campaign. They're not just going to automatically start getting what everyone else gets.
Exactly.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then email, event-based emails. So if you've gone to a conference before or signed up for a webinar, those are an example of what event-based. So that's basically you're getting content before the event, pre-event content, teaser of it, logistics. If this is how you navigate the conference. Here's all the details you need to know about that. During, so you probably get emails during when the event is happening, and then post-event, like satisfaction emails or additional things you need to know. You might be Often you're getting promotional emails because you've given permission to get promotional emails from vendors and stuff that were at the event. So that's event based. There's behavioral triggered emails. So this is like you've been browsing your favorite retailer's website and you didn't purchase anything, but you get an email with, you looked at this, maybe you want to buy it, right?
Yes.
Or you put something in your cart, but you didn't buy it, and then they send you an email saying, well, you see, you forgot to buy the thing.
It's almost gone.
Yeah. So that's kind of a behavioral triggered emails. Then engagement emails. So this can be like encouraging. Example of this is like social media platforms sending you emails saying that somebody followed you or somebody commented on your content. What that's designed to do is basically to engage more on the platform. So go and look who followed you. Go and reply to whatever the comment was. So that's an example of that. Re-engagement is another kind of example of engagement emails where you might have subscribers to your newsletter that have been dormant. They're not opening up. They haven't opened up in the past month or 2 months or whatever it is. And you want to re-engage them. So you might get like, we miss you campaigns or give you a special offer to re-engage. An example of that, I play guitar, and I used to subscribe to Epiphone, which is a brand of guitar, their newsletter. And every month they gave away a guitar in the newsletter, but you had to fill out a form. You had to go to the website to fill out the form to enter the contest, basically. And so it's free guitar, right?
Yeah.
Every month I would do that. That's a really clever way of, guitars weren't their top of the line guitars. They weren't giving away too much value, but they were getting people to engage with the email. And the fact that I was clicking on something and going to a website and filling out the form, that sent a signal to make it more likely that all of those emails were going to be opened up, show up in somebody's inbox, and more likely that people are going to see it in their inbox. So really clever kind of tactic there. Announcement emails. So this is basically what it is. Like if your company has an announcement, you send an email announcing it. Could be new product features, could be policy change. So if you often see this with privacy policy changes, they'll send an announcement and expect that you're going to read all the legalese, which you don't, of course. And then surveys. Everybody's familiar with surveys. So getting an email for collecting opinions or even satisfaction rates, like how was your experience? And it's a 1 to 10 score. Would you recommend the net promoter score kind of thing? Would you recommend this company to a friend? And then lastly, there's kind of internal or maybe B2B communication. So communicating with specific stakeholders like partners, vendor partners, or clients, where you're not, it's not a public one really. It's just more of an internal or a business to business relationship kind of email.
Okay. So I do have a follow-up question. In terms of our like public affairs practice, we often do like action alert emails where one of our clients or partners might, send a little summary of what's going on and then ask all their subscribers to do an action. Like how would that be maybe categorized?
Yeah, that's like a combination of an announcement and an engagement campaign.
Okay.
Right? The alert is the announcement. The ask is the engagement.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good to know. Well, and I think this really leads into our next segment, which is how do you measure the success of an email marketing program? So, with that, we're measuring, okay, we had like 10 actions or 20 actions, but if you could share a little bit more.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of, people really don't think a lot about it, but there are a lot of ways that you can measure the success of email. So one is what is your objective? What are you trying to achieve with your email marketing program? Typically if you start, you want to grow your email list. So there's list growth. And so over time, what does that do? How does that look? Are you growing the subscribers, the numbers of people on your email list? Subscriber lifetime value is another metric that this is more kind of applicable in the e-commerce space, where how much is an email subscriber spending with you over time? So what is the value in dollar terms of that subscriber on average, right? And you want to try and increase that average over time, right? If you're in e-commerce.
Okay. But
you can think of it in different ways as well. So it doesn't just have to be e-commerce, but that's a typical use case for it. And then industry benchmarks. So the email marketing platforms often have benchmarks based on industry. So MailChimp, for example, has this. And so if you're starting new, then you can use that benchmark of how you're performing compared to the benchmark. It's useful over time as well. But that's kind of the list growth part of it. Deliverability is another one. Are you getting into people's inboxes, right? That's really important. Bounce rate is part of that. Are email addresses bouncing? There's two types of bounce rates. There's the soft bounce and a hard bounce.
What's the difference?
Soft bounce is when a subscriber might have an out of office reply. In which case the platform will typically try like 3 times to deliver to that. And if they don't deliver it, they still get bounce rates after 3 times, then they'll turn into a hard bounce. And a hard bounce is like that, in which case they'll be taken off the list automatically by the platform. So you're not delivering to an email address that isn't working, or it's just a malformed email address. So it might be .com or .com. So it's an invalid email address, or somebody just gave you a typo in their email address, which is wrong. So it's not actually hitting the inbox. Engagement metrics. So people pay a lot of attention to open rates. Open rates are a flawed metric because Apple, in their infinite wisdom, decided to mess with everybody's open rates.
Mm-hmm.
And
I heard about that.
Yeah. What they did is they take the way that you measure an open rate is the MailChimp providers of the world will send a unique image that is a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image that has a file name that is unique to that individual subscriber. So each subscriber gets a unique image that is sent along with the email. And when that image is opened, when the email is opened, that image hits the server, and that counts as an open. Okay, so what Apple did is take that pixel and replace it with its own pixel. And so anybody who opens up their email in Apple Mail email client gets counted as open, even if they don't open it.
Oh.
So that's inflated open rates
Yes.
because of Apple, right? Now, Microsoft, on the other hand, a lot of people use Microsoft Outlook, corporations especially. So there's a big audience for that. Microsoft, by default, does not open images. So if you get an email to a Microsoft email, and you're not opening, you're not turning on the images, then it's not counted as an open rate. So that's depressing the open rate.
Okay.
Right. So flawed metric, but people pay attention to it, and over time, if you kind of account for those factors, it still can be useful. What I pay more attention to is like engagement metrics. So clicks. That's an actual action that people are taking. So your click-through rates, click-to-open rates, unsubscribe rates obviously are important. Spam rates, people complaining about your email, that's something you should be paying close attention to. Then we do get into more sophisticated stuff like A/B testing and multivariate testing, where often the A/B testing will be testing subject lines or who the email address is coming from. So the from field in your inbox is really important, because the two most important metrics for getting someone to open up an email address is who's it coming from? Is it a known sender, right? Do I have familiarity with them? And then what is in the email? So the subject line you need to use strategically. Its only purpose is to get somebody to open up the email. So what's in the email? What's in it for me as a subscriber, right? And then inbox behavior is another metric that we don't really have any data that we can measure this stuff, but you want to think of it when you're creating your email marketing campaigns, because if somebody, for example, your email gets sent to spam, but somebody marks it as not spam, that's a metric, that's a signal to the Gmails, the Outlooks, whatever, that's valuable emails. If a lot of people do that, then that's helpful for you to getting more visibility in the inbox. Another one is like putting your email into a special folder, right? Those types of interactions, forwarding your email to someone else, show that the content is valuable, and it makes it more likely that you get visibility in the inbox. And then lastly, conversion rate. So if you're e-commerce, like what is your conversion rate for what you're selling via email?
So can they track when you do move an email into specialized folders somehow, like, through any platform that we might use?
So no, we don't get those numbers, but
okay.
Gmail, all the, Outlook and all the email providers, they know those metrics and are paying attention to those metrics. The other thing I should mention is also a sender score. So the domain name of the email you're sending from, there comes some tools where you can measure the sender score. And so obviously a high sender score is really important. There are blacklists. So if you're sending a lot of spam, there's a lot of people marking your emails as spam and they're complaining about it and everything. You may get put on a blacklist, which all the ISPs, internet service providers, subscribe to filter out your email because your sender score is crap. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. So now the $1 billion question: why is email marketing more important than ever?
Well, it's always been the killer app because it is a direct communication channel with your audience, right? So I've been saying from the beginning, like, you need to get people's email address. There's two pieces of information that allow you to have a direct communication with the audiences that are important to you: email address or phone number, so you can text message. Those are the least algorithmically intensive channels where you have the best chance of communicating over the long term without being at the whims of an algorithm, right? So Google's search algorithm changes all the time. Social media algorithms are changing all the time. Advertising algorithms are changing all the time. Get people's email address, build a relationship with them through email or text, and that way you're owning your audience and you're not at the whims of algorithms. The other dynamic with AI too is as more content is being created via using AI, you're starting to see kind of a backlash against AI created content. Now that's the problem with AI is then people creating content via AI is it's really easy to do. And just like in the early days of building websites, when it became easier to do, a lot of people built really crap websites because they didn't know how to build them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now people are creating a lot of really crap content using AI because they don't know how to use AI. But that's happening and people are having a reaction to that. So what you're seeing is the rise of platforms like Substack.
Yeah.
So email-centric platforms like Substack, where people are creating their own newsletters with their own brand. So you see a lot of reporters going from their former media outlet to starting their own Substack and being an independent journalist because they can do it. They can monetize their audience. And there's an inherent level of trust because they build their brand there. And it's email, so there's less algorithms involved. And you're building that audience that way. So I really think that the rise of Substack is really something to pay attention to, mm-hmm. because it really gives you a harbinger of what's happening now with user behavior and trust. So that
I'm definitely seeing that shift. There's, on certain platforms, especially with like influencer and social media personalities shifting to Substack, sending like monthly newsletters, and then maybe giving you a few free emails for part of their Substack. Then you have to subscribe for like the special ones. Yep. And I've really seen an uptick in the amount of people asking their followers to join their Substacks.
Yeah, and so you that level of trust too. It's there's a level of trust for giving up your email address initially, right? And then there's another level of trust with consuming the content regularly that you're getting for free. And then there's a further level of trust when you're starting paying for that content, mm-hmm. right? So it's a really valuable audience if you're getting people, not just in terms of them giving you money to pay for your content, but the fact that they're that loyal that they're going to do it is really, really an important thing. The other thing with AI now too is, and I do this all the time. So I email myself news articles all the time. Basically, one inbox serves as a database for all the content that I haven't got to yet, but I know will be important to me. So people, that's kind of a on steroids version of just somebody subscribing to a newsletter.
Yeah.
Right? But what I'm doing now is I'm using AI to say, okay, tell me everything I've emailed myself in the last week about earned media or digital marketing or AI or whatever. And then AI will create the synopsis of all the things with links to the articles that they haven't gotten to yet. So it's my own like on the fly digest of what so that's I think nice. That type of behavior people are going to start doing with email now too, because they have the capability with AI.
That's super handy. Well, thank you so much, David. This has been super beneficial to learn more about email marketing and how we can apply it for our clients.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.